Krishna. So today my service is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 3, verses 14 to 19, 6 verses. And these are primarily to do with the glorification of Lord Shiva. So I will try to do this service as diligently as possible. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Bharinishwar Radha Bharinishwar Radhi. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki Bhukam Karoti Vachanam Pangam Dangate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Sri Guru Dinacharinam Vansakalpatarubhascha Kripasindhuvaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivachadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna. Prabhu is telling me to also speak in between in Hindi, so I find it very difficult, although I can manage Hindi, but I find it very difficult to Prabhu to speak English and Hindi together. So probably what I can do, I can finish it a little early, the English, and then summarize in Hindi. That probably I can do as per Prabhu's order. And probably Mangala Mathura, if you can summarize in Hindi in the end, that will be more helpful for me. Okay, so Before I start the Srimad Bhagavatam class, I would like to pay my obeisances to my Diksha Guru and all the assembled Shiksha Gurus. Mantra Guru Arjato Shikha Gurugan Tadera Charane Age Koriya Bandhan. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, we are in the fourth canto and the first part, this is the fourth canto, first part of Srimad Bhagavatam, and I was seeing the contents and it is so much variety. You know, we started with the genealogical table of the daughters of Manu. We spoke about how the avatar of the Lord came as Yajna and born of Akuti, and then we started with this current chapter of Daksha Prajapati, and it's very interesting, lot of action, lot of cursing and counter cursing, you know, so much action, so much variety. Srimad Bhagavatam. After, as soon as we will finish this, we will start with Dhruv Maharaj, and then there is action again, there is tapasya, there is fighting, there are wars, and then we will go to you know, we will hear what are the qualities Lord expects. He tells to Dhruv Maharaj, and then we start the story of King Vena and Prithu Maharaj. This is in the fourth canto, the first part of fourth canto. So there is so much variety, and this Srimad Bhagavatam actually it is non-different than Lord Krishna. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Madhya Leela, it is said, Krishna Tulya Bhagavata Vibhu Sarvasraya. So Krishna Tulya Bhagavata, it is equal to Krishna. Vibhu Sarvasraya. Krishna is Vibhu, Bhagavatam is Vibhu, and Sarvasraya, the supreme shelter of everyone. Poti Shoke, Poti Akkhare, Nanarthakaya. Every slok and every word gives different kinds of interpretation. You have been hearing the different kinds, the devotees have been taking classes of different flavors on the same theme and same subject. Like last Friday we heard Pavanni, his guest Pavanni Mai Prabhu, speaking about, you know, the desires, the limit boundaries of the desires, how we should advise people, we should consider that vulnerability and, you know, take them into confidence, and we also should consider the point of reference, you know, while understanding a situation. So when I thought of today of how I should present this seva of Srimad Bhagavatam, I thought this is the month of Sawan, you know. In Vaishnav calendar we call it Sridhar month, but in the Hindu belief it is the Sawan month, and in the Sawan month people glorify Lord Shiva. So I thought that let me also take this opportunity to glorify Lord Shiva, because Srila Prabhupada has glorified Lord Shiva like anything in this chapter. And we thought as the followers of Srila Prabhupada, as the grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada, we should also follow his mood and mission of glorifying Srila Prabhupada. So this chapter, you know, started where lot of we saw earlier the chapter 2, lot of curses and counter curses ended, and then the sacrifice happened, and all the before the sacrifice ended, Lord Shiva left the place, and Lord Shiva did not participate in the sacrifice, and he ended the place, and then after the sacrifice ended, the demigods also went back to the home. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains something very, very important which we should understand, and that Srila Prabhupada exactly mentions on chapter 2 verse number 18 purport, that why Lord Shiva left, actually Lord Shiva is of very high standard, and when all the demigods who were participating, they were primarily materialistic. So the situation was created such that whatever is the situation, the background, that Lord Shiva will not be there, because his level is different. Why you should participate in a ceremony where all materialistic persons are sitting? Like all of you are so spiritually inclined. On a Friday morning, you are not sitting in a place where materialistic people are sitting. You made your own choice to sit in a place where all spiritualists are sitting. Similarly, Lord Shiva, the situation arises, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that he is a highly elevated person. And then Daksha, who was the very proud as the progenitor of the entire universe, he arranged another sacrifice. And that is the context of the, where in that sacrifice, Lord Shiva was not invited. And you all know why he was not invited, because of the previous, seemingly how he acted. So he was not invited, but Daksha's daughter, Sati, who was married to Lord Shiva, wanted to go there. And that's where last class ended. That Sati sees so many aeroplanes, so many demigods and fairies dressed nicely were going to her father's program, and she was not able to go. So she started taking permission of Lord Shiva. That's how we start today's 14th chapter, 14th shloka of the 3rd chapter. So we'll do the shloka. तन्मे प्रसीददम् अमर्त्यवाञ्छितम् कर्तुं भवान् कारुणिको बतार्हति तवात्मनोर्देहम् अभद्रचक्षुषा निरूपितमानुगृहणायाचितम्. So when we recite Srimad Bhagavatam, put a lot of heart and tune into it, because Srimad Bhagavatam is a ripened fruit, and it is compared to the Amrita in a liquid form, in a very swallowable form, where in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.13 it is said that it is like Amrita, where you take it and it's swallows, and so nice. So there is a lot of tune and music in Srimad Bhagavatam. So when you recite, try to make them tune and song, so that Srimad Bhagavatam is very relishable. We enjoy this 1 hour of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then next whole 1 week we remain charged in that music. Tanme prasidedam amartavanchitam kartum bhavan karuniko bhatarhati त्वयात्मनोर्देहम् अभद्रचक्षुषा निरूपितमानुग्रहणायाचिता. Few devotees can repeat. तन्मे प्रसीदेदम् अमर्त्यवाञ्छितम् कर्तुं भवान् कारुणिको बतार्हति तवात्मनोर्देहम् अभद्रचक्षुषा निरूपितमानुग्रहणायाचितः. तन्मे प्रसीदेदम् अमर्त्यवाञ्छितम् कर्तुं भवान् कारुणिको बदर्हति त्वयात्मनोर्देहम् अभद्रचक्षुषा निरूपितमानुग्रहणायाचिता. माताजीस तन्मे प्रसीदेदममर्त्यवञ्चितम् कर्तुं भवान् कारुणिको बतर्हति त्वयात्मनोर्देहम् अभद्रचक्षुषा निरूपितमानुग्रहणायाचिता. तन्मे प्रसीदेदममर्त्यवाञ्छितम् कर्तुं भवान् कारुणिको बतर्हति त्वयात्मनोर्देहम् अभद्रचक्षुषा निरूपितमानुग्रहणायाचिता. Tat, therefore, may unto me, prasida, please be kind, idam, this, amarta, O immortal Lord, vanchitam, desire, kartum, to do, bhavan, your honor, karunike, kind, but, O Lord, arhati, is able, tvaya, by you, atmana, your own body, ardhe, in the half. Aham, I, Abhadra Chakshusha, having all knowledge. Nirupita, am situated. Ma, to me. Anugrahana, please show kindness. Yachitaha, requested. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki. O immortal Shiva, please be kind towards me and fulfill my desire. You have accepted me as half of your body. Therefore, please show kindness towards me and accept my request. Who is telling this? Sati is telling to her husband, Lord Shiva. So please repeat with me. O immortal Shiva, please be kind towards me and fulfill my desire. You have accepted me as half of your body. Therefore, please show kindness towards me and accept my request. So, in this shloka of 14, we see a very important word, amartya. Amartya means one who doesn't die. In the previous shloka, last slide, there is a word called Suravarya. Suravarya is translated as best of demigods. And in the 16th word, which is in today's syllabus, we will see Lord Shiva will be addressed as Bhagwan. Sri Bhagwan Uvacha for Lord Shiva. Who is this Lord Shiva? On one hand, he is said as Suryavarya, O best of demigods. On the other hand, he said Amartya. We know demigods have limited span of life. It's Amartya who does not die. And then in the 16th verse, we'll read, he said Bhagwan. We know Bhagwan is only Krishna. Then who is this Lord Shiva? So it is very, very, very important to understand that if so many beautiful verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam are used to address Lord Shiva, then Lord Shiva must not be an ordinary person. He is a great person. So I was reading something written by a brahmachari in ISKCON Chowpatty in Mumbai. His name is Nityananda Charan Prabhu, and he was brought up in Himachal Pradesh. You know, Himachal Pradesh is called Devbhumi, Prabhu, right? Himachal Pradesh, lot of Shakti Peeths are there, Devbhumi. So in Himachal Pradesh, generally people worship Lord Shiva, and all over India people have worshipped Lord Shiva. And I am sure many devotees here have been worshipping Lord Shiva and still like Lord Shiva very much. And want to know and be more close to Lord Shiva. So he was very much into Lord Shiva, and then when he came into ISKCON, he would actually, when the kirtan would go, he would not chant Hare Krishna, because he would say, where is my loyalty towards Lord Shiva? And then he would not read Bhagavad Gita. He would say, if I read Bhagavad Gita, my loyalty towards Lord Shiva will go. Somehow, being into ISKCON, devotees requested him, read 6 verses of every day and gave him a Gita. And when he opened Srimad Bhagavad Gita, you know which verse came? 10.23. What is 10.23? Lord Krishna said, Rudranam Sankaras Chasmi. Among all the Rudra, I am Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna says. When Lord Krishna said, among all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva, his eyes opened. He's saying, that means Krishna has opened my eyes as a devotee of Lord Shiva. I am in the movement. And he started chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So what he says in his realization, that it's a very close connection between Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva. We cannot accept one and reject another. That is not possible. And he gives example that near every Krishna temple, there will be a Lord Shiva temple. I have personally seen many of them. In the Chowpatty temple itself, there is in Bombay, the Chowpatty ISKCON temple, near them is the Babulnath temple. So, and in the Dham, we see in Mayapur, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna appears as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, beside that, all of you must have seen few meters, not even few meters of that Neem tree, when Nimai appeared, there are 2 Shivalingas. One is called Gopeshwar Mahadev, one is called Khetrapal Shiv. So wherever, and in Vrindavan there are so many, 5, in the Vrajbhumi 5 primary Shivlingas, which if time permits, I will talk a little bit about that. So there is very close connection. We all devotees should know that there is not mutually exclusive, that either Lord Krishna or Lord Shiva. No. There is close connection. So what is the identity of Lord Shiva? And we all read Brahma Samhita. In Brahma Samhita, the 45th verse we see Sharam Shiram Yatha Dadivikara Vishesha Yogat. So in this particular verse of Brahma Samhita, what it says, that Lord Krishna is like milk and Lord Shiva is like yogurt, curd. So, as milk transforms to curd, Lord Krishna's transformation is Lord Shiva. So if you see that milk and curd is essentially from the same thing. However, milk and curd, the use is different. If you are going to cook some yogurt preparation, you cannot say, I will do it with milk. If I give you one katori of milk and tell immediately prepare Shrikhand, you cannot prepare, you need yogurt for that. Similarly, if I give yogurt and I tell you prepare rasagolla, you cannot prepare, you need milk for that. So, although they are same, but they have different preparations, milk and yogurt. Similarly, Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva has different manifestations and different functions. They have different roles to play. And however, we must understand that as in any organization, you may have a big person join your company, but the big person will be limited by his roles and job description. Similarly, Lord Shiva, although he is that way non-different from Lord Krishna, but he has some limited roles. Why? Because Lord Shiva is in charge of this material world. His functions are related to material world. Whereas Lord Krishna is purity personified. So although please understand, although they are same, there is oneness and difference. They are same, milk and yogurt, but they are different. So Lord Krishna, Shiva takes care of the material universe. And that's why the benefits of worshipping Lord Shiva is different. The benefits of worshipping Lord Krishna is different. And we must be, as devotees, we must be wise enough to recognize this simultaneous oneness and difference and give them each the due respect. We have to give the due respect to Lord Krishna, we have to give the due respect to Lord Shiva. But we cannot be sentimental about this. We cannot go sentimental about this difference. And we have to understand, Lord Shiva is there in millions of universes, but Lord Krishna is that same one supreme personality. So Lord Krishna is the supreme, Lord Shiva is his manifestation in various material universes. Is this point very clear? So then we can go to the 15th verse. Rishi Uvacha. Who is this Rishi when we say Rishi Uvacha? Rishi is Maitreya Muni, because the samvada is going between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. So Rishi Uvacha Evam Giritra Priyaya Vibhasita Pratyabhidatta Prahasan Suhitpriya Samsmarito Madhama Vidha Kuvagisun Yan Ahako Vishwa Srijam Samaksata. So the great sage Maitreya said, Lord Shiva, the deliverer of the hill of Kailash, having thus been addressed by his dear wife, replied smilingly, although at the same time he remembers the malicious, heart-piercing speeches delivered by Daksha before the guardian of the universal affairs. So here, Srila Prabhupada tells the Lord Krishna, Lord Shiva, when he heard Sati speak and take permission, he smiled actually, but Prabhupada says that the psychological effect he immediately remembered. He immediately remembered the piercing words of Daksha, the arrows of Daksha shot against Lord Shiva. And because of which, although he smiled, he was very disturbed. Lord Shiva was very disturbed. Now, we might be thinking such an elevated person should have a mental equilibrium, right, as it is taught in Bhagavad Gita. Then how come Lord Shiva is disturbed? How come Lord Shiva gets disturbed at what Daksha Prajapati told him? So Prabhupada mentions very, very clearly that he quotes Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur that Lord Shiva is Atmaram, Lord Shiva is also Atmaram, is situated in complete self-realization, but because he is the incarnation in charge of the material mode of ignorance, Tamogun, he is sometimes affected by the pleasure of the material world. So it is very important that although he is Atmaram, because he is in charge of Tamogun, he gets affected sometimes. So this is the strength of the material world. So we as devotees also sometimes we see for ourselves, or sometimes we see other devotees react very funny or very strange way, and we see how come he is a devotee and reacting that way. Because although he may be a devotee, but he is within and he has seva within the material world. And that's why the material world, which can affect the behavior of Lord Shiva, who are we as devotees that it will not affect our behavior, and that we have to make realistic expectation. We will not to see the behavior of the devotees, because Lord Shiva himself is affected. Prabhupada writes, quoting Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, Prabhupada also mentions about gopis, that gopis get disturbed. What to say about our devotees? Gopis get disturbed. You know, gopis get disturbed. When Krishna was stealing Makhan, the Lord Krishna, transcendental platform, the gopis were getting disturbed. Weren't the gopis getting disturbed? Gopis were fixing bells in the house so that when Krishna comes to steal, the bell will ring. Gopis were making the house dark. You remember the story, no? Gopis were making the room dark so that Krishna cannot see and steal. But Krishna's jewels were getting the light for Krishna to steal the Makhan. And gopis were getting disturbed. But Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, those kind of disturbances are different disturbances. Although those are disturbances, those disturbances gives pleasure. The gopis were getting disturbed, but gopis wanted that disturbance, get pleasure. You know, we sing Damodar Astakam. Lord Krishna is disturbed. You know, we sing this Rudantam Muhunetra Yugma Mejantam Karamboja Yugmena Satang Kanetram. Karamboja, he is wiping his with both the hands his eyes, and he's so scared about his mother's stick. But we are worshipping him because that is a transcendental realm. So this is what Prabhupada explained, that therefore Lord Shiva, although fully self-realized person, was in charge of the material mode of ignorance, he felt sorrow. So we have to understand the position of Lord Shiva. He is Atmaram, he is self-realized, but he is in charge of the Tamogun. He is the Guna avatar of Lord Krishna, and that's why he feels sorrow. Text 16, I'll just read and read the translation. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Tvayoditam Shobhanam Eva Shobhane Anuhuta Api Abhyanti Bandhusu Teyadi Anupadita Dosha Dhristayo Baliya Sanatmaya Madine Manuna. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great Lord replied, my dear beautiful wife, you have said that one may go to friend's house without being invited, and this is true, provided such a friend does not find fault with the guest because of bodily identification and thereby become angry towards him. So here you see this words, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Lord Shiva is addressed as Bhagavan. Although this Bhagavan is not the supreme personality of Godhead Bhagavan, but Lord Shiva is also a Bhagavan, because in one way he is non-different. And Prabhupada translates this Bhagavan as the great Lord replied. So in this we could see that Sati, in that last verses last week, Sati says that actually he is my father. In places of father, in places of friends, you don't need an invitation to go. But Lord Shiva here explains properly, but if such a father, such a friend or such a person is puffed up, then you should be careful to go, because he is identifying himself with the body. So because of bodily identification, and that's why when you go, Lord Shiva is telling to Sati, your father will be angry. Because his body still remembers that revenge, and he will connect you with me, and he is in the bodily platform. So, actually Lord Shiva was faultless. We should remember this again and again and again. In this chapter, this series of chapter, Lord Shiva was faultless. It was no need for Lord Shiva to stand up when Daksha went. We have to have it in very clear, and Prabhupada mentions this point again and again and again, and in future you will see. If any time we see, Lord Shiva should have stood up to show humility, it is a wrong understanding, and we should never have that understanding, because Prabhupada clearly mentions that. Lord Shiva should not have stood up. He was right because he was meditating on the Supreme. Prabhupada clearly mentions that. He was meditating on the Supreme. So there was no need for Lord Shiva to stand up there. And this understanding, if we don't have, we will be doing a great offense. We will not be glorifying Lord Shiva. So it is, Prabhupada mentions this again, here and here, again and again and again. Then we go to the 17th verse. In the 17th verse, Vidya tapovitta vapurvya kule satam gunai sadbhir asat metare smitau hatyayam britamana durdasha stabda napashyanti dama bhuyasam. Translation: although the 6 qualities of education, austerity, wealth, beauty, youth and heritage are for highly elevated one, who is proud of possessing them, becomes blind, and thus he loses his good sense and cannot appreciate the glories of personality. So he says that even these 6 qualities, education, austerity, wealth, beauty, youth and heritage, may be there in the greatest of person, but if one is proud of possessing them, then what happens? He becomes blind and loses the good sense. Srila Prabhupada, in this purport, she quotes Lord Kunti Devi, she quotes Srimati Kunti Devi, where Kunti Devi addresses Lord Krishna as Akinchan Gochara. What is that Akinchan Gochara? Srila Prabhupada writes, the Lord Krishna is easily approached by those who are bereft of all material acquisitions. So it is better to be bereft of all material acquisition. It is better to be poor. It is better to be uneducated. It is better to be non-austere. It is better to be ugly. It is better to be not having youth or heritage of a good family. If we cannot use that properly in the service of Krishna, then those absence of those become the qualifications of approaching Krishna. Akincha Gochara. Krishna becomes very pleased with those kind of poor people. However, if one has those qualities, then the devotee has to learn to use that for the service of Lord Krishna. That is, Prabhupada ends this purport by writing, unless one's material assets are used in Krishna consciousness, they may play havoc and degrade the possessor. So all of devotees can audit themselves. Which kind of devotees? Devotees who are very educated, devotees who are very austere, devotees who are very wealthy, the beautiful devotees, the young and youth devotees, and the devotees who are born in very heritage family, very high class family. Please audit yourself and see that if those assets cannot be used for Krishna consciousness, they might actually play havoc in your devotional life, and better to be bereft of those things. Then we in this also purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions about the absolute platform and the material platform. I was remembering when I was reading this, when I was studying maths in my younger class, there used to be something called absolute number, where the number used to be written in 2 straight lines. And that absolute means, even if you write -3 as absolute, it will become is equal to 3. I think many of you must have studied that absolute value. So similarly, in the absolute platform, actually there is no bad qualities which we sometimes see Lord Shiva is doing here. He is getting angry, he is remembering the revenge of what Daksha Prajapati did to him. It is very important to understand that in absolute platform it is not there. But because Lord Shiva is again and again, I am repeating this, Prabhupada is repeating this in his purports, that again and again Lord Shiva is doing the service in the material world, the service of Lord Krishna in the material world. That's why these qualities are seen. In an absolute platform, Lord Shiva is not having this quality. Wherever there are Lord Krishna temples, there are Lord Shiva temples. Wherever there is Dham, I just told you about the Mayapur Dham, there is Lord Shiva. Mayapur, there are so many Lord Shivas. In the birthplace, there is Lord Shiva. There is the Harihar Kshetra, where Krishna and I hope you all have seen the deity, black and white deity, half black, half white, Harihar Kshetra. Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva together. If you have seen the deity, it's so beautiful, black and white deity, Harihar Kshetra. In Vrindavan, there are so many deities of Lord Shiva. Would you like to hear about Lord Shiva's presence in Vrindavan? Some stories about Lord Shiva in Vrindavan. So Lord Shiva is present in 5 principal deities in the Vrajbhumi and in Vrindavan. One is the Bhuteshwar Mahadev, one is the Gopeshwar Mahadev, one is the Nandeshwar Mahadev, one is the Chakleshwar Mahadev, and other one is Kameshwar Mahadev. So Bhuteshwar Mahadev, what is Bhuteshwar Mahadev? That protects the western side of Mathura. So whenever actually, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went for the Vraj, he first went to Mathura, and it is written in Chaitanya Charitamrita that he took darshan of Bhuteshwar Mahadev. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took darshan of Bhuteshwar Mahadev. And Rupa Goswami in Mathura Mahatmya, he is saying that only the bewildered people will not bow down to Bhuteshwar Mahadev. Rupa Goswami is telling. And the same thing he copied from Varha Puran. In Varha Puran it is also said about Bhuteshwar Mahadev. So can you imagine in Vrindavan he should start first from Lord Shiva? Can you understand the Lord Shiva's position? Please understand and enjoy this realization in this Sawan month. It is very auspicious to glorify Lord Shiva in this month. And then we hear about Gopeshwar Mahadev. Gopeshwar Mahadev is very, very interesting. And Gopeshwar Mahadev, all the devotees in Vaishnav songs have sung about Gopeshwar Mahadev. Can you remember which song we sing about Gopeshwar Mahadev? Can anyone remember? Jaya Jaya Gopeshwara Vrindavana Maj. So Jaya Jaya Gopeshwara in Vrindavana Maj, in the center of Vrindavan, Gopeshwara is there. And which song is this? This song is glorifying Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Sri Govinda Gopinatha, Madana Mohan. So the song in which Lord Krishna's principal deities and Vrindavan Dham is glorified, in that same song Gopeshwar Mahadev is glorified. Can you understand the position of Lord Shiva? So there is Gopeshwar Mahadev, and Gopeshwar Mahadev, what happened? He went in the Ras Leela, he meditated, then he wanted to enter the Ras Leela. The Purnamasi stopped the entry, that females are not, householders are not allowed entry, and then he sends Lord Shiva to Vrinda Devi. Vrinda Devi dipped Lord Shiva in Mansarovar. Lord Shiva took the form of a gopi. Lord Krishna did rasa dance with Lord Shiva did rasa dance with Lord Krishna in a gopi form. Lord Krishna said, I am not enjoying today. Maybe some male is there in the thing. Go Lalita Devi, check all the gopis. She went and checked. She lifted the wheel of every gopi. She came back to Krishna and said, oh Krishna, I am not able to see any man here. Krishna said, check properly. Did you see anything unusual? No, I did not see any female, but I saw one gopi with 3 eyes. So then she is produced in front of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna laughs and says that, see, you fulfilled your desire. So today I give you a place called Gopeshwar Mahadev. All gopis will take your blessings. So even today, morning if you go to, all of you must have visited, morning if you go to Gopeshwar Mahadev, he is decked as Shivalinga. Evening if you go to Gopeshwar Mahadev, he is dressed as Gopi. In a Gopi attire she is dressed. Lord Shiva is dressed as Gopi. Then there is Kameshwar Mahadev. Kameshwar, Kam means desire. Kameshwar Mahadev, who did the desire? Swayam Vrishabhanu. Vrishabhanu, the father of Sri Radha, did the desire from, he had a son called Sridham. But he still had desired a daughter from whom? From Lord Shiva, from Kameshwar Mahadev. And he said, give me a daughter. And Kameshwar Mahadev gave whom as a daughter? Radharani. Can you understand the position of Lord Shiva? Then there is Shakleshwar Mahadev, where 5 Shivlingas in Manasi Ganga near the Govardhan protects the 5 directions of Lord Shiva, the Govardhan. And then there is Nandishwar Mahadev. That is a very big and good story. To summarize, the Nandgaon, the hill, is actually Lord Shiva. And you all know the story where Lord Shiva went to take the darshan of Lord Krishna as Bal Gopal on the 12th day after the birth of Lord Krishna. So we'll have Janmashtami on 16th. So on 12th day you can count, and that is the day Lord Shiva went to take a darshan. But he went on the normal form. He did not change into a Brahmana, which he first thought. And he went. What was the dress? His garland was made of snakes. His belt was made of scorpions. His loincloth was made of tiger skin. And Mother Yashoda was not allowing. Finally, the story goes, he was allowed a darshan, and Lord Krishna was crying, and when he touched the lotus feet of Lord Krishna on his head, Lord Krishna stopped crying, and Mother Yashoda requested that please, when he was touching the head, then Lord Shiva realized, Mother Yashoda, Baba, be careful, your snake should not bite him. Then Lord Shiva understands the position of Vatsalya Ras, much higher than Dasya Ras, and that is why he was not getting the darshan, because he is in Dasya Ras. Yashoda's position is Vatsalya Ras, much higher than that, and that is why he understood that Lord Krishna took birth with Mother Yashoda. And you remember the Damodar Astakam story, when Lord Krishna was bound and Mother Yashoda left, all the demigods came up from up and said, what is happening to the Lord? What is happening to the Lord? The Lord looked at the demigod and says, to prove the position of my devotees, I did this Damodar Astakam Leela. So that was the position of Vatsalya Ras. Lord Shiva accepts that. And then Mother Yashoda tells, since he stopped crying because you were there, stay in my house from forever. Lord Shiva says, I will stay in your house forever in one condition. You have to give me Mahaprasad and Charanamrita of Lord Krishna every day. She agreed, and that is going on until today. Until today, in Nandishwar Mahadev is getting the Prasad and Charanamrita first of Lord Krishna. And that Nandishwar Mahadev is the 5th thing. And then see the 18th verse. Sometimes, this so many verses become heavy to complete. Neta drisanam swajanavapekshaya grihan pratiyat anavasthitatmanam yabhyagatan vakradhya bhi chakshate aropita bhuvir amar shanakshibhi. So here Lord Shiva is telling, one should not go to anyone's house even on the consideration of being a relative or a friend, when the man is disturbed in his mind and looks upon the guest with raised eyebrows and angry eyes. So when such a man who looks upon the guest with raised eyebrows and angry eyes, one should not go to those things, to that kind of person's house, even though closed. You don't need invitation to go to close friends and parents and all those things. So that is Lord in the purport, Prabhupada writes, malicious person should not be trusted because they are always unsteady. Thus Sati was advised not to go to her father's house, because to accept such a father as a relative and to go to his house without being properly invited was not suitable. So the context we have to understand, and Prabhupada in this small purport, but very deeply he talks about who are the malicious persons and what are the kind. For example, he says that tiger is dangerous, and tiger is but when he picks a cub, he is very, 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 very kind. The cub does not get hurt. But there are instances where tiger eats the cub. Prabhupada writes that, I believe, but I have not seen personally, but I have seen dog eating its cub. I have myself seen a dog killing and eating its cub. Because sometimes you don't know the condition, what happens. So those Prabhupada in this purport classifies as malicious people. And Daksha Prabhupada puts in the same category of malicious people in this purport. So Lord Shiva says that please don't go. Although he is your father, he will see you with raised eyebrows and angry eyes. Because Lord Shiva knew the future. But actually that will be the cause of Sati's self-immolation. So, and the last verse is Tatharbinna Vyatate Sili Mukhe Sete Ridangito Hidayena Duyata Swanam Yatha Vakra Dhyam Durukti Bhir Divanisam Tapyati Marma Tadita. Lord Shiva continued, if one is hurt by the arrows of an enemy, one is not as grieved as when cut by the unkind words of a relative. For such grief continues to rend one's heart day and night. Now Prabhupada writes in the purport very nicely, Sati might think that, see, it is my father. Father can always scold, I can tolerate. But Lord Shiva wants, here in the purport Prabhupada writes, that the relatives actually, what happens when enemy chastises you, it is expected. But when relatives chastise you, sometimes it becomes, with that too, with a doubting nature and raised eyebrows, it becomes more hurting. That's why when we see in a devotee community, sometimes devotees tells us something, we get more hurt, although in the material people, sometimes they tell even bigger things to us. We don't get that much hurt. Because that is expected, and in the devotee community is not expected. Similarly, from a father it is not expected that he will behave as an enemy, but from an enemy it is expected. So when father behaves as an enemy, it is more hurting. So Lord Shiva wants him. So what, as devotees also, we should be very, very careful, that we should be very careful when we behave with others. Because our behavior to devotees, a small mistake might hurt the devotee more than an outsider's bigger mistake. Because an outsider's bigger mistake is expected, but devotee being a family, it is not expected. At the same time, on the receiving end, we should also be realistic. We should be realistically lower our expectation, so that we are also not, as much as possible, not hurt. So this is all about today's thing. I think we have about 7-8 minutes more in today's class, and I was thinking, there is one thing very interesting. Even though I don't recite, probably, Prabhu, you can display that Shivastakam. You know there is something called Shivastakam, and you know who has written Shivastakam? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has written. The same Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who has written Shiksastakam has written Shivastakam. So can you imagine the position of Lord Shiva? So we should never get sentimental and make groups, that I am Krishna group, I am not Shaiva, I am this thing. So this Shivastakam, it is very, 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 if we go to the last page, we can see what is the Falastuti of Shivastakam. A person who lovingly hears with rapt attention this wonderful eightfold prayers to Sri Shiva can quickly gain a love for Lord Sri Hari, transcendental knowledge, the realization of that knowledge, and unprecedented devotional potency. I think we can finish in 2-3 minutes this Shivastakam. And because it is, we can, because just now the prasad offering finished, so by the time we prepare the plates, we can finish it. Maybe at least a couple of verses. First 2 verses of Shivastakam. Probably if you can go to the first page of Shivastakam. If you can see the Shivastakam, the first page. This Shivastakam is composed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the one who started our Sampradaya. And I'll just read the first 2 verses. Namo namaste tridasheshavaraya bhuta vinathaya midaya nityam ganga tarango titabala chandra shudaya gauri nayanotsayaya. So the translation is, I perpetually offer obeisances unto you. The next page it is there. The Lord of 30 primal devas, who is the original father of created beings, whose character is gracious, upon whose head, which is crested by the sickle moon, the Ganga springs, and who are a festival for the eyes of Gauri, the fair goddess. So second verse I will read and end here. Sutapta chamikara chandra nila padma pravalam budakanti vastre Sunrityajagestavara pradaya Kaivalyanathaya Vrishadhvajaya. I offer my obeisances unto you, who resemble a moon of molten gold, who is dressed in garments colored like a group of building blue lotuses or lustrous rain clouds, who bestows the most desirable boon on your devotees by your delightful dancing, who offers shelter to those who seek to become one with the transcendental effulgence of Godhead, and whose flag bears the image of the bull. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if you want to take the shelter of that Supreme Godhead, you have to glorify Lord Shiva. So exactly we have 4 minutes remaining from today's time. And Mangala Mathura, can you summarize in 4 minutes the Hindi, because Prabhu requested that to summarize in Hindi, and today's class in 4 minutes, and then we can end it. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा. सो प्रभु जी ने काफ़ी कुछ कहा, जितना हो सके संभव उतना हम लोग अनुवाद करने की कोशिश करेंगे. तो उन्होंने शुरुआत की भगवान शिव की स्तुति से, फिर पिछले क्लासों में जो बताया गया था वो उन्होंने बताया, और फिर उन्होंने बताया कि शिव जी जो है वो और हमारे भगवान श्री कृष्ण वो काफ़ी मतलब समान है, जैसे दूध और दही. फिर उन्होंने बताया कि एक भक्त थे जो बोलते थे कि नहीं, मैं वो इस्कॉन में आए थे और इस्कॉन में उन्हें जब कहा जा रहा था कि आप चैंटिंग कीजिए, आप कीर्तन कीजिए, वो बोलते नहीं नहीं, मैं तो शिव भक्त हूँ, मैं चैंटिंग नहीं करूँगा, मैं कीर्तन नहीं करूँगा. तो फिर उन्हें कहा गया कि अच्छा ठीक है, आप भगवद गीता पढ़िए. तो जब उन्हें भगवद गीता पढ़ने दिया गया तो उन्होंने जब भगवद गीता खोला तो सीधा 10.23 वर्स पे आ गए, और वहाँ पे उन्होंने क्या पढ़ा कि सारे रुद्रों में मैं भगवान शिव हूँ. तो जब उन्होंने वो पढ़ा तब उन्हें पता चला कि भगवान कृष्ण और भगवान शिव में गहरा संबंध है. शिव जी को भी भगवान कह के संबोधित किया गया है. ये जो उन्होंने वर्स पढ़ा था उसमें ब्रह्म संहिता में भी कहा गया है, श्री राम यथा दधी, जो अभी अभी कहा मैंने, दूध और दही का संबंध. फिर जब माता सती देवी उन्हें कहती है कि मुझे जाना है अपने पिता के घर में, तब शिव जी को दक्ष प्रजापति की जो चुभने वाली बातें थी वो याद आ जाती है. तो अभी हमने शिव जी की इतनी सारी स्तुति की, और फिर ऐसे कैसे उनको शिव जी की स्तुति, शिव जी को दक्ष जी की चुभने वाली बातें याद आ जाती है, क्योंकि वो कौन है, वो तमोगुण के अधिपति है. तो तमोगुण के द्वारा तो वो भी प्रभावित होते हैं. तो जैसे ही हम ये कहते हैं तो हमें लगेगा कि शिव जी का स्तर छोटा हो गया. बिल्कुल नहीं. श्रीला प्रभुपाद जी बहुत अच्छे से समझाते हैं. जैसे गोपियां भी प्रभावित होती थी. जैसे गोपियां जब भगवान श्री कृष्ण, स्वयं भगवान श्री कृष्ण माखन चोरी करने जाते थे, तब वो क्या करती थी, माखनों के जो पॉट है, उसे घड़ा है, उसे छुपा देती थी, काफी घर को अंधकार कर देते थे. वो जाते सो दैट भगवान चोरी न कर पाए, खिड़कियों में घंटी लगा देते थे, ऐसी काफी कुछ करते थे. तो उनका स्तर सिर्फ गोपियां ही प्रभावित होती थी. स्वयं भगवान कृष्ण रुदंतम मुहुर नेत्र, भगवान क्या किए, जब माता यशोदा ने छड़ी दिखाई तो भगवान रोने लगे. तो भगवान भी प्रभावित हो रहा है? नहीं. हमें समझना चाहिए कि ये सारा कुछ आध्यात्मिक है, कोई भी प्रभाव में नहीं आ रहा है, ये सब लीला के लिए किया गया है. तो भगवान, हमें क्या लगता है कि जब दक्ष प्रजापति ने भगवान शिव के बारे में इतना कुछ कहा तो हमें मन में आता है ना कि भगवान शिव जी उठ गए होते हैं. हमें तो कथा पता है कि भगवान शिव जी अपनी स्थान से नहीं उठे जब दक्ष प्रजापति सभा में आए थे, इसीलिए उन्होंने इतना सारा कुछ कहा. तो हमें लगता है कि अगर वो उठ जाते, क्योंकि वो तो उनके ससुर है, दक्ष प्रजापति शिव जी के ससुर थे, बट शिव जी का नहीं उठना, उनका इसमें कोई भी दोष नहीं था, क्योंकि शिव जी क्या कर रहे थे तभी, उस वक्त भगवान जी पर ध्यान कर रहे थे. तो जब हम भगवान पर ध्यान करते हैं तो किसी और के लिए अगर हम नहीं उठे तो उसमें, और भगवान शिव जी का स्तर काफी ऊंचा है, तो हमें हमारे मन में कभी भी ऐसा नहीं आना चाहिए कि भगवान शिव जी का कोई भी दोष था. फिर उन्होंने बताया कि भगवान शिव जी मायापुर धाम में, वृंदावन धाम में काफी स्थानों पर है. हरिहर क्षेत्र, जहाँ पे हरि और हर यानी महादेव दोनों साथ में है। फिर उन्होंने वृंदावन में काफ़ी सारे शिव जी के लीलाएं बताई, शिव जी कहाँ कहाँ पर है, जैसे भूतेश्वर महादेव, गोपेश्वर महादेव। भूतेश्वर महादेव जो है वो रक्षा करते हैं। गोपेश्वर महादेव, जब हमारे भगवान श्री कृष्ण एकदम छोटे से थे, 12 दिन के थे, तो शिव जी को लगा कि ये दर्शन तो बहुत ही अनमोल है, हमें जाना चाहिए। तो शिव जी आए और माता यशोदा के पास विनती करने लगे कि हमें दर्शन दीजिए। बट नंदेश्वर, अच्छा सॉरी, नंदेश्वर शिव जी के बारे में बताया जा रहा है। तो नंदेश्वर शिव जी वहाँ पर आए और माता यशोदा जी से विनती करने लगे कि हमें लाला का दर्शन दीजिए। बट माता यशोदा ने देखा वो कैसे रूप में आए थे शिव जी, जटाए, सांप, तो कौन अपने बच्चे को लाके दे? तो वो बोला बिल्कुल नहीं। माता यशोदा ने कहा बिल्कुल नहीं, बट फिर उन्होंने लाके दिया। और तब शिव जी को पता चला कि भगवान का स्तर कितना ऊंचा है और वात्सल्य भक्ति कितनी ऊंची है। तो उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से ये लीला बताई। और फिर उन्होंने गोपेश्वर महादेव के बारे में बताया। गोपेश्वर महादेव जब रास लीला के बारे में बताया कि उन्होंने एक गाना बताया, जय जय गोपेश्वर वृंदावन माझ। ये गाना में जहाँ पे राधा माधव की स्तुति की जा रही है, उसी सेम गाने में शिव जी की भी स्तुति की जा रही है। तो रासलीला में एक घटना हुई थी, जब कृष्णा सारी गोपियों के साथ रासलीला कर रहे थे, तब अचानक से कृष्ण बोले कि मुझे आनंद नहीं आ रहा है, कोई यहाँ पे पुरुष है क्या? तो ललिता जी गई, सबको देखा, कोई नहीं मिले। तो वो फिर से सबको देखा, कोई नहीं मिले। बट फिर उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं भगवान, यहाँ पर कोई नहीं है, सिर्फ एक गोपी है जिनकी 3 आंखें हैं। तो तब उनको कहा गया कि आप कौन है? गोपेश्वर। और उनके मंदिर में जब आप जाते हैं तो आपको दिखाई देता है कि दिन में वो भगवान शिव के रूप में होते हैं और शाम को गोपी के रूप में होते हैं। फिर उन्होंने कामेश्वर महादेव जी के बारे में बताया। कामेश्वर महादेव जी से श्रीमती राधा रानी के पिताजी ने प्रार्थना की थी, उनके पास एक पुत्र थे, फिर भी उन्हें पुत्री की कामना थी, तब उन्होंने पुत्री की कामना की और कामेश्वर महादेव ने उनकी कामना को स्वीकार किया। उन्हें पुत्री के स्वरूप में कौन मिले? श्रीमती राधा रानी। इस तरह से उन्होंने काफी सारे बताए। और बाद में जब भगवान शिव जी कह रहे थे माता सती को कि आपको नहीं जाना चाहिए, क्योंकि वो बता रहे थे कि आपको लग रहा है आपके पिता है, आपका शारीरिक संबंध है, पर वो शिव जी से द्वेष करते हैं, इसीलिए जब आप जाएंगी तो उनको याद आ जाएगा कि मेरा और आपका क्या संबंध है, यानी शिव जी और सती का क्या संबंध है, और वो क्रोध कर सकते हैं। और फिर इन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से समझाया कि अगर हमें दुश्मन कुछ कहे तो वो अपेक्षित है, दुश्मन हमें कुछ कह सकते हैं जो हमारे पास वाले नहीं है, बट अगर हमारे करीबी इंसान हमसे कुछ कहे तो ज्यादा तकलीफ होती है। तो वो आपके पिता है, अगर इतने करीबी रिश्ते में अगर वो कुछ कहे तो आपको ज्यादा तकलीफ हो सकती है। और उन्होंने एक चीज बताया कि हमारे जितने भी गुण होते हैं, अगर उस गुण में हम अहंकार बताते हैं तो वो गुण सारे अपयश में हो जाते हैं, पर अगर हम वो सारे गुणों को भगवान की सेवा में लगाएं तो वो सारे गुण का महत्व होता है। भगवान शिव जी ने क्या किया है? अपने सारे गुणों को केवल और केवल भगवान कृष्ण की सेवा में लगाइए। तो भगवान शिव की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु महाराज की जय।
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So condensed is given in the Hindi within I think 6 minutes. Hare Bol. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So we would like to thank Prabhuji and Mataji by chanting one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. As Prabhu has mentioned that we are fortunate to hear the glorification of Lord Shiva in this Shravana month. Hare Krishna. Before we do the announcements, there is one devotee he has served here in the temple more than 20 years. He is living in the island now. So Sri Alagappan Prabhu, I request Prabhuji to come, and I request His Grace Tribhanga Gopal Das Prabhuji to